And then I think I was just happy overall. Like a happy swimmer is a fast swimmer, right? Isn't the saying goes? So I think that
Hmm.
definitely contributed to that. And just having people to race in practice was a nice change.
Bonjour, hello. This is a new number of All the Talk, new episode today. Before we get in, I just want to remind you guys to subscribe, to support us, to give us some like, to give us some comment, to push the channel and the movement because it's a hard work that I'm doing almost by myself, and I need that support to keep growing and keep moving on. So, without further ado, today I have a special guest. I think it's the youngest guest that I had in the show so far. She's 21 years old. She's freshly come out from the NCAA championship last weekend in Greensboro, North Carolina. And she was named swimmer of the meet, swimmer of the meet and swimmer of the year in NCAA. Sorry. We're going to go through this awesome weekend. She is like, I would say, she went from a chrysalis to a butterfly faster than light. That's how I will introduce her, you know. So I have the honor today to receive the NCAA champ 100 fly, NCAA champ 103 this year. Yeah. NCAA silver medal 53. I have the pleasure today to receive Maggie McNeil. Welcome, Maggie. How are you doing?
For having me.
I'm so happy. I'm so glad. Maggie, it's like I said, it's the first time that I have such a young swimmer in my show. So I'm a bit intimidated. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm very happy to have you. Congratulations on your awesome weekend. Very fast weekend. How does that feel to be the best swimmer in the NCAA?
It was definitely exciting. I was not anticipating swimming that fast, and definitely the hunter fly was my highlight of the week, I think.
So the only fly in 48.89, which is you are the first one, the first woman to break the 49 mark on this distance. For those guys who are watching us in Europe that are not watching so much yards, I would say that if you convert it to a long course time, we'll go to a 55.6, but pretty close from your best time. And we'll talk about long course after. But let's talk about that race. Let's talk about that race where you are not expecting much, as you said before. Can you explain why you didn't expect much out of that meet?
I mean, I wasn't saying I was expecting much. I just wasn't expecting to go best times. We had been out of the water for 2 weeks back in February. They did a department-wide lockdown at the University of Michigan. So we had our Big Ten Conference Championships, and they were okay. I just wasn't sure that I was going to be able to drop even more time going into NC2As.
Okay, okay. And you felt that you are not in the best preparation or best feeling in the water you could have before the meet, little
Yeah,
bit,
I guess
or
you could say that. I mean, I feel like everyone's been out of the water at some point for some extended period of time throughout the year. So just knowing that, and then just that fact that we were out the second time just didn't really help. But I knew that I did a good training even when we were training, so I think that was able to help me this weekend.
so it's gonna give you a lot of experience for the future because we never know if this those stuff could happen. We just show that when the work is done, if you miss a couple of days, you still can go and do very well. And I think that it might help you in the process of racing of racing this year. About this weekend, on the fly, I saw a nice 46.02 and a way nice second 53, like 50, like your backhand was crazy, 23.8. And that's something that you have a tendency to do very well, the backhand. So can you tell us more about the way you are working on the backhand in Michigan and the way you are racing since you are there, and how that strength came out for you?
Yeah, so I think I've been working on my back half a lot since I got to Michigan. This is my third year now. But I think I've always been strong in the back half. I wasn't always a sprinter. Growing up, I swam like the two fly, 4 a.m., the 800. So I did all of like the distance events. So I think I have that really solid aerobic base from back in the day. But it wasn't until like this meet in particular where I really feel like I mastered the first 50 or the first 25 of the 50. So I think that was my goal, was to go out for it at the front and then hold on instead of kind of chilling and then doing an incredible back 50 just by itself.
when you talk about mastering the first 25, like I have an idea of what you are talking about, but I want you to explain a little bit more to our viewers. Like when you are saying like the principle. So for those people who for watching the meet for this emission for this show for the first time, I'm a swimming coach as well, so so I know a little bit about swimming and sprint especially. So the main goal of swimmers is to save some energy, to be as fast as we can and saving gas to be able to race well when the hard time come. I would say the last 60% of the race, or 40% for some other, But you say you are mastering the first 25. Can you give us more details about your way to summit?
Yeah, so usually, at our conference championship, like a month ago, I ended up negative splitting my 50 free. So for those of you that don't know what negative splitting is, it just means that the second half of your race is faster than the first half.
You say
And that's
53?
not Yeah, so that's not a normal way to do it, and that I didn't do it that way, but I did, and my coach was not happy with me about that. So I knew my toughest competition at the meet, they go out really fast, so I just wanted to try to keep up with them, and then knowing that I had a better second 50 or back half than they did, just kind of relying on that.
So you swim very, very relaxed. How many breaths do you take on the first 25? None or one?
I took 1 on the first 25 and then none on the second.
And that's what suits you? You're comfortable with that?
Up until my Big Ten conference championship last month, I used to do 1 on the first 25 and 1 on the second 25. But my coach said that that wouldn't be a good idea going into NC2As just because I tend to take really long, slow breaths. So we eliminated that second breath.
So you swim more and more freestyle. So like I didn't introduce your international like what you the result that you achieve as a swimmer. I want to mention that you are the world champion holder on the butterfly long course. You came out like a flash swimmer, like almost from nowhere in 2019, like upsetting Sarah Sostrom on the butterfly. That was like a really, really amazing race. I'm sure that we stay in you for forever. You upset the world record holder on that day. Unfortunately, she got injured. She's working on her way back to be able to race at the Olympic. So you are the world champion on that race and double. And I won't make a mistake that time. Double bronze medalist with a Canadian relay, in the freestyle relay, and the mid relay. And you surprise yourself. You surprised probably not you, but some of the people we did not know that you could swim freestyle so fast with a 53 one, I think, in the relay. That's what you did, right? So and this year you went 46.02. I don't want to make the conversion because it's very, very, very fast long course. So are you transitioning more and more to freestyle? Do you like when we met and we talk about that after, you are more like you say backstroker, flyer, I am not as much freestyle that you are doing now. So how does that transition to freestyle goes for you? And do you like the race? Are you excited about it?
So I guess my transition to free, I've always done it just like you said, but not as much as I swam backstroke or fly. But once I kind of focused more on sprinting, in back in 2017, and we can talk more about that later. I used to get put on. I put out got put on all the relays at university, so I kind of developed into a more freestyle sprinter because of that, I think. And then overall, like, I just wanted to focus on my free a lot because that's usually where there are the most spots for the Olympics and
Yeah.
everything relays, so I think that became more of my focus there. I mean, I've always enjoyed doing it. I enjoy 100 free long course a lot better than short course. Um, I don't know why, just I've always felt that way, and then I don't really like long course 50 free as much as I like short course 50 free, so
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
kind of opposite.
That's a bit different. And you know what is very, very interesting in your case is there is swimmers. Yeah, they are very, very good in short course yard because they have amazing underwater kick, and you have one of the fastest underwater kick in the world right now, I would say. So that's a very, very good tool for you to win those race short course. Long course is a bit different. It's a different effort. It's not the same race at all. But you have been able to transition very, very well to the 100 fly short course yard to the 100 fly long course and to hand like world champion in 2019. Um, how that transition goes so naturally for you? Because I would say because you're 1 meter 67, so you're not very very tall, but you have very 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 powerful legs, amazing technique in fly, timing is amazing, and the underwater kick you are using very very well. I would say from long course, from the 50 to the 65 meters line. If you have meters more, you will use it, but it's 15 meters. It's 15 meters. It's 15 meters. Is it the same for you? Short course fly versus long course fly, you are comfortable as well, or you have one that you prefer to do more than the other?
I think I'd say I'm pretty comfortable in both. I mean, before I got to university, I liked short course everything a lot better. I just didn't enjoy long course because I didn't like like not having the turns. But ever since 2019, I've enjoyed long course fly a lot more than short course.
Good. We're gonna do like a couple of throwback right now. Okay, move back to the past. Um, we met in 2000, I think 17. It was a year before you go to Michigan and the World Cup in Singapore and Tokyo on that team, and we could see as coaches and discussing with other coaches the potential that you had. I know a little bit your coach, Andrew, if I don't mistake. Very, 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 very good coach. We say hi to him today and congratulate him as well, because a part of the job has been done with him. So everyone is a bit responsible in that you in your huge ascension. I would say that you are talking to him, mentioning that before you go to Michigan, you were in a program where you did a lot of IM, more volume that you are doing now. Am I right? Yes.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. So you when you come in Michigan in this program, you have a very solid base. How valuable that work that you probably ate at some time, that you didn't like at all at some time, how valuable was that work, or is that work today for you?
Oh, I'd say it's very valuable. I mean, I did definitely dropped in meters, I think, since I've come to school, but the intensity has gone up and everything is just I'm always wanting to be at my best and the quality of it. We don't really do too many easy practices. It's usually go, 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 whether it's like a threshold or fast sprinting. So it's always like the demanding aspect of that is just you're always going to focus on technique while also maintaining speed and power. But back to the aerobic base, I think that's definitely helped me a lot when it comes to our aerobic practices or just our threshold practices in general, knowing that I've done a lot of work like this growing up and it's not too challenging and I've done it before and that really helps me to get through it. Yeah.
Are you still touching some in your season with Michigan and your coach Richard Bishop? Richard Bishop. I had to say his name in French with a French accent. So Richard Bishop, like, is he giving you in the season, like you have a 48 weeks program, I guess, and you probably swim a little bit more in some weeks. Do you have a part of the season where you do a little bit more aerobic work?
Yeah, for sure. Usually back in like the fall, so September to November are big chunks of training. And then now in April, now that NC2As are over and Big Tens, we're starting to like ramp back up the training
Okay.
to get ready for our summer meets.
Okay, good, good, good. And you're enjoying it when you're coming back to it now that you get used to those crazy practice with intensity every day, and you come back suddenly to a little bit of volume. Are you okay with that?
I definitely am. I mean, training is always not the most fun, but it definitely gets me where I want to go. Today was our first long course practice in 2 or 3 months, so that was a challenge. It wasn't hard, but the pool grew double its original size. So
The good
hopefully
news
I'll get used to that
the good
again.
news about it, Maggie, the good news about it is you don't have to worry about anything long course right now, because you are qualified for the Olympics. You'll be representing Canada in 2021 for the Olympics. So congratulations on that as well. That's a big honor. And as a world champion, I mean, that's a bit normal for you to have these possibilities. And I was thinking about the fact that if it wasn't the case for you, would you imagine the mess that it would be for you to qualify? Like, you will have to come back in Canada, spend 15 days in a hotel room, wait, wait a few days before you'll be able to train and then swim. That won't happen. You'll be able to avoid that. So that's a very, very, very good news. How did you receive that news?
Yeah, so it was incredible. It's not what I was expecting they were going to tell us back in January, but it definitely was a relief knowing that they both pushed trials and that they had provisionally nominated the 6 of us, for that spot. As for trials, though, I will still be coming back in May, so I will be doing my 14-day quarantine,
Oh yeah.
as yeah. So I'll be
Okay.
swimming in my backyard pool and lifting in my basement, so I think it'll turn out okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Because like you will do your quarantine at home coming
Yeah,
back from the US. Because here in
yeah,
Montreal you have to do the quarantine in the hotel. You know.
yeah.
So
So the
that's
hotel is only if you're flying into
okay.
Ca so I only live
Okay.
a 3-hour drive from London, so I'm just gonna drive across the border, and I won't have to do the hotel stay.
God, that's great. That's great. So you can manage and train some, like, I would say Ivory Coast condition a little bit, a little pool, a little this, a little that there for a couple of days to maintain your shape and be ready. It doesn't seem to affect you. So anyway, you're qualified. So what do you have to lose there? So, I mean, I'm sure you're going to race hard, but I don't think there is the same pressure on your shoulder than it would be normally, getting into that meet. So talking about the Olympics coming in, what are your main objective? It's a stupid question because I know the answer, but I have to, I have to ask you the question this way. The girl is world champion. What do you think she wants in 2021?
Well, I
But
mean,
go
I
ahead.
do have goals for myself. I don't know how realistic they are. I mean, of course, I want to win a gold medal at the Olympics or break a world record, but I think at this point, with everything we've been through this year, it'll be just amazing to go and represent Canada. So I'm kind of just gonna enjoy the experience and just know that I've put in the work and whatever happens, happens.
Wow, you talk like a very very mature woman. Like you are impressing me right now, Maggie. Like when we met, as I said in that World Cup tour, I have to say something. I was amazed about your character, your attitude, because you had attitude, good or bad, sometimes, huh? But you had good good attitude. When you decide to race, wow, it was scary good. When you decide to use some of your strength, which is the underwater kick, wow, you could like it was magic in the pool. Uh, After that, we went through. We were at the trial 6 months after. You shine, but not as much as you did the year after. And I want to transition to that because from that point to the year after, I don't see you. I just see you 12 months after. When you come back 12 months after, you're totally changed. I see you way more fit. I feel more. I feel you stronger technically you look on point. I would say the timing is there in fly. It's awesome. So the first question I have for you about that is, how did you like? How did you adapt, or how did this program affect your fitness so much? Because you became very very fit, and I think you were a very very powerful woman, powerful girl before. Now, how does it feel and how does it look now with your world?
Yeah, I just think the overall program and the stresses of going to university, I think that definitely contributed to it. And it's just such a big change in training, like I was mentioning earlier, with the more focused on
Yeah.
power and the always like going hard. So I think those definitely contributed to that. And then I think I was just happy overall. Like a happy swimmer is a fast swimmer, right? Isn't the saying goes? So I think that
Hmm.
definitely contributed to that. And just having people to race in practice was a nice change as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. So you adapt to that new life very, very quickly. You find new friends, new teammates. Like it wasn't. Did you have a lot of? You have. I'm sure a lot of options before deciding to sign for Michigan. What other option did you have?
Well, I looked at a couple schools in the States and then I looked at specifically U of T um, in Canada, but I knew that I wanted to go to Michigan just because it was close enough to home that I could drive and come home frequently.
Hmm.
And then it just had amazing academics and athletics.
So what do you study?
I'm studying psychology.
Oh, that's why. And what do you want to do after swimming? You want to be a psychologist?
I haven't really decided what I want to do. I'm considering either going to med school or law school
Okay.
afterwards.
Okay. So you're not done with studies, long studies. You like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So let's come back. Let's come back to swimming a little bit. So I was talking about your fitness, and that does impact your race. Um, Thinking of back to that race at Trials where you qualify for the World Championship in 2019, did you expect such a result getting in there?
I definitely didn't. Like I was just saying before, is we usually stop swimming long course about January because we're focusing on our conference meet and NC2A. So I hadn't swum long course since probably that December or January. So it'd been 4 months. So I wasn't really sure how everything was going to go. So I swam I think it was the 50 fly on the first day, and I went a
Mhm.
best. So then I was like, okay, maybe this meet will be pretty good. And then I think the second day I had the 100 free, and I qualified for the 400 free relay.
So that's a relief.
So it definitely took the pressure off. And then the next day was the 100 fly. So like I knew that since I was already on the team, I could kind of just enjoy it and not worry too much about making it. And then I turned out I dropped, I think it was like a second and a half. So that was really exciting, and I was not expecting that at all.
It was a crazy race because you barely didn't swim the first 50. You probably split in third or fourth. I think Penny and Catherine are ahead of you at 50. And you do that special now Maggie turn underwater kick to bring back home like crazy. And Catherine and I think Penny were not able to hold you like in the last 15 meters. Um, and from that, you qualify for the world. When do you realize that you probably have a chance to make something happen at world, or you just arrive to the meet and say, okay, maybe I can be a champ?
I mean, I went in and I was ranked, I think, second or third in the world at that point. So it was all about getting into a final. And then when I qualified for finals, I think I was like second. Then I was like, okay, maybe I can get a medal. I never was like, I'm gonna win this thing. So that never really crossed my mind. But I definitely wanted to get a medal at that point.
You seem to take the event like an opportunity to just, I would say, have fun and race. I never felt, when you are not performing, I never felt that it was because stress. I just felt that it was because you probably didn't want to race or probably didn't want to do it that way, or but it wasn't for the stress, for sure. I don't think that the stress affects you. Probably it did sometimes. I don't know. Are you a stress swimmer?
I mean, I do get stressed. I mean, the most stressed I think I've ever been was actually last week at NC2As right before my 100 fly. Um, But usually I try not to focus on that and just kind of swim my own race. But at big meets like Worlds or last week, I can't really help but think about things a little bit too much.
Alain Bernard was saying, Alain Bernard, Olympic champion, was saying that a swimmer with not stress is a swimmer who is not concerned. Stress is normal. It's okay to be a little bit stressed as well. It's part of the deal. But watching you swim with those big girls, you are 19 years old in 2019, and it seems like you race with them, and it's like you were racing with them forever. It looks so natural for you. And did you feel that some weird look, like who is that girl? Where's she coming from? Like who is she? Like, did you surprise some swimmers?
I think I definitely did since it was my first senior national team. Like I don't think they'd even really heard of me before. And also the fact that I was way shorter than everyone else, I think kind of added to that little aspect of where'd she come from kind of thing.
It's nice that you are mentioning that. Do you feel that like there is or there were some athletes you were racing against before who were underestimate you because of that?
I think so. I mean, throughout my athletic career, I mean, I have not been the tallest. I'm not even 5'7", so I feel like people have kind of counted me out in that regard. But I think I've definitely made up for that height difference in hard work.
I don't think now this will happen. I mean, you know what's important as a coach. I always say that the best swimmer are the swimmer who look tall in the water. You're probably not 5'7", but when you swim, you don't swim like 5'7". You don't look like 5'7". So that's, I think, the most important. And you like everything. You make your name and you earn respect. And now when you show up on deck, or you probably felt those look, or felt on French, I would say the regard, the look of the other opponent. To you probably change much. Did you make new friends in your international world swimmer or not at all?
I mean, I did talk to a lot of girls. I mean, I've been watching them swim since I was little. Um, but I was kind of just sat back and kind of watched them and kind of took things away from what they were doing, because they're all seasoned veterans.
That's smart. That's very smart. Like you, you are something. You are something. You are something. You are really, really something. So throwback, another throwback. Before we went to that competition in Tokyo, the first time I actually see you is you coming in with Andrew Craven in Camo for a training camp for probably a week or a little bit more with Catherine Savard at the time was the best swimmer in butterfly in the country. That's why I think you came there to train with her a little bit. So you want to talk about how this experience impact you on a little bit after that? Like, what did you win from that experience training with Catherine Savard on a butterfly in Camo?
Yeah, so that was back in 2014. So I was 14 at the time, or almost 14, I think. Um, there was a swim meet at Camo, and then Andrew had arranged for him and I to stay another week and train with Camo. I'm not sure really what brought it up, but so my mom and I, we stayed in a hotel and we just trained there for the week. Um, I just remember it being one of the hardest experiences in training camps of my life at that point. Training with Kat was so incredible. I really look up to her, and just getting to watch her train. We swim fly, I feel like pretty similarly. We're both leg driven in that sense. So I really learned that I should improve my underwater and my kicking at that point, and she really challenged me. And I was also amazed with how many pull ups she could do in a row. So that was really cool. But I just remember this one set that stands out to me still to this day. Claude had us do the buckets, so like the pulleys, and he had filled them, I think probably to the top with water, and we were doing fly pull, like not even fly swim, fly pull. And it was like 825s, and it was unbelievably hard. And I think I was crying and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. It was really awful. But I think I learned a lot from that experience.
So watching you, because I was on the deck as well, so I'm coaching on the side with Claude, and I was watching you a little bit. I felt like you didn't feel probably it wasn't the best week in the water, but I felt that sometimes that you gave a little bit too much of respect to your opponent. I felt like you could have pushed a little bit more, and Claude disagreed. I'll talk about that with him this afternoon. He said, "I don't know, she wasn't swimming well." Claude, I swear, I looked at her. I didn't say nothing from the other week, but I can tell you that at some point she was holding back. That was the way. Like I was watching on the side, and I could feel sometimes that you could push yourself a little bit more, and I had the feeling that you didn't dare. Am I wrong or totally wrong?
I mean, looking back on it, I really don't remember too much about it, and I wouldn't say that I was holding anything back, but I was coming off that meet, which might have contributed something to it. But I also just felt really out of place. Like I was what, 7 years younger than everyone there, so I
Yeah,
feel like I was just kind of I felt the youngest, and I felt like I was the slowest, so that my mentality toward that might have
yeah,
influenced
yeah,
how I was training at the time.
yeah. So, so that's I'm sure that's like you say, as you say, helped you a lot. And those experience, did you live the same kind of experience after that with another flyer, another group of training with your coach? Did you make that happen another time, or it was just the only time?
That was my only experience like that. I mean, since then I'd done a lot of hard training camps, with Team Canada. The other one I could think of was when we were in Thailand for 3 weeks, and Tom Rushton and Mary were kind of the main 2, at the camp, so I remember that one, but nothing like what I did that week when I was down there with you guys.
Okay. So let's get into some specific a little bit more. So you have, as I said, one of the fastest underwater kick in the world. Would you say that that's something that you always had and you develop it more and more and more, and now it's more of a weapon that you have, or this came when you met someone or you decided to work on it? I don't know, like well, like because me, I have an explanation, but I don't think I don't think you're gonna like it. So I want to hear your explanation first. Just tell me how did you? Because it was so frustrating to watch you race in Tokyo. I have to tell you this. It was frustrating. Like she was like, why does she not? Why she's not kicking like she's doing in the first and second? She does it. Okay. And when you decide to do it, You're like amazing. You're like finalist at the world in the World Cup, and you handle back that stuff that you never did. You know, you push yourself, and boom, it shows up. So when did you decide, and how did you finally understand that underwater kick piece was a main weapon for you?
So I mean, I think growing up, butterfly kick was underwater was always I always grew up as knowing it as the fifth stroke. So that wasn't really anything new for me. But the application of it took a lot longer for me to come around to. I just distinctly remember the amount of times that you were like, you need to do underwater kick because that's where you're gonna get ahead of people. And I remember you commented on that so many times throughout the year, especially in that trip to Tokyo and Singapore. And Martin Wilby was also like, I've never seen you underwater kick like that. I don't know why you don't do it more often. And then I got to Michigan, and there's a coach here, Cowley, who reminds me a lot of you actually.
Yeah.
He every day is like, "How many underwater kicks did you off the wall?" I can just hear his voice in my head telling me to do more underwater kicks when I'm swimming. So that's been definitely been a major focus since I've gotten to school here. But yeah, it did take me a while to kind of put the work into it that I could
you
get out of it.
you see how I see it? It's like you are going to war, okay, and you have like 5 gun, but you have this special gun who can like do way more damage than all the other gun, you know. But you don't want to use it, and you are going to war, and you want to win the war. That's how that's how it felt, you know. Is that a good image for you?
Yeah, that's a really good analogy of it.
So now is it like yeah, like it's definitively in the system in your racing process? Do you think you have a lot of room to improve? Can you improve that underwater kick more?
I mean, there's always room for improvement, but I've been working on it so much that I've already seen the improvements already. Especially last week with diving, I've been working on my start, and my kicks are getting more powerful because I've had to reduce my number of kicks off the start.
Mhm.
So I'm definitely seeing little improvements here and there.
That's amazing. That's amazing. More in the specific question about the underwater kick, and this question is coming from Dominique Longtin. She's one of the coach in Camo. She's coaching the junior girl in Camo. And today, I came in the office and I said, "Okay, guys, I have Maggie McNeil tonight. If you have a good question, I'm going to shoot it to her, and I will name you. I will name you as well." So that's the question of Dominique was she wants to know how exactly you put your feet on the wall when you turn. She want to know how you put on what side, which direction, how you push off the wall, and what position are your feet when you are leaving the wall. That was a specific question from Dominic, and in my mind I said she possibly maybe doing it like just go. So let me know if you have an answer for that.
I don't think I've ever thought about it that closely before. I know I turn to my right, which everyone thinks is weird because I'm not left-handed.
Okay.
Um, that's all I can really think of is that I definitely push off facing my right.
And how much time did you spend on improving on your turn in this program? Do you have days where you are doing more skills, or it's a day-to-day work, but constantly you have to take care of this?
I would say it's more like a constant thing I'm trying to work on, but occasionally Mike Bottom will work on turns and starts with us, but that's not very often. So I think we rely a lot on our own, um, I guess, the accountability of ourselves to kind of keep working on and always be thinking about what we can improve, regardless of whether or not we're taking the time to specifically focus on that bit of technique.
So I like what you just say. You said accountability on yourself, and to me it brings. So I take my serious voice now. You know, I'm going to the more about the coaching side of it, and that's something that I'm talking a lot with my guest on the show, and I was lucky enough to have, and one of the topics we have pretty often in Camo is to me I feel like when the swimmer take ownership, it become way easier. When we met, I don't think you were ready to take ownership. It took a while. So there is always people around you like me or Martin or other people trying to tell you, oh, you should, but we know, but you cannot force someone to do. it has to come from them, and I think he has way more results. So you have to discover by yourself solution to use that strength, trust to use that strength to make it yours finally. Because even if it comes from outside, we cannot decide for you, you know. And what you just said was perfectly that you took ownership, and the more mature you are becoming, I feel like you are taking more and more ownership in everything. It's not just about the underwater kick, it's about your organization of life, your habit of sleep, foods, everything. I think you mature in some how and when, and is there a particular like moment, I would say, where that click and switch from 2017, I would say December, to transitioning to World Championship in 2019?
I don't know, actually. I think it just has the whole thing to do with me going to school here in the States. I just had to rely on myself to do a lot more than I initially did. And I think that responsibility and that just maturity in general kind of made me not reevaluate what I wanted to do with swimming, but like focus more on how can I be the best in the pool and in the classroom.
So did you are you saying that your parents spoiled you a little bit too much?
No, I
No.
don't know. I just always had a really close relationship with my parents, so I think just kind of getting away and meeting friends that I like meeting friends at school and living on my own, like, I just think I didn't really have to do any of that stuff before, so I wouldn't say that I was spoiled, I would just say that I've just gotten older and can do these things for myself and really appreciate that.
And you put yourself in a situation where you didn't have the choice to do good stuff, to make good stuff happen. I mean, if you don't take care of yourself, everything's going to fall apart. And knowing that you are changing your life, you have to take responsibility. I would say that you did pretty good. I'm impressed. I'm very, very impressed. I have to say that. If there is a range where you have to improve in that area, in those little details outside of the training, we can make you a better swimmer. What would it be? And you think where you have a lot of room to improve?
Mm, I don't really know. I mean, outside of the pool, I feel like I can always get stronger in the gym. It was nice to get back into it, coming to school. We had taken a couple years off of like solid lifting back at my club team. So I just think in general that, and then the mental aspect, I think is something that I can still work on and trying to not get so stressed or try to like not focus on the end result and kind of focus more on the process and what I can do to control the outcome as opposed to just focusing on the final outcome or the time.
Are you the kind of swimmer who think a little bit about everything, all the options who could happen in the race when you are visualizing? Do you imagine bad, good, trying to be ready for whatever could happen? You know, I read that book recently, which was Deep Survival. I don't know if you read that book. It's a pretty interesting book. Like this guy writes about, you want to understand how there is so many people who are surviving when they are not supposed to, you know. And one of the conclusion is like they are prepared. They think about everything, and when that's happened, even if it's sudden, they have an edge of on the other people because they are ready, more ready than some other. In some way, are you visualizing your race a little bit like this when you are in racing mode?
I would say I don't really visualize my race, like, I lie down and kind of think about how many strokes I'm gonna take off each wall or my kick count, but I think when I'm getting ready to race, my mind naturally goes to the what if, what will happen, so I'll kind of think about the outcome of it, which is not the greatest habit to get into, I think, but,
No, no.
definitely working on that, but I tend to focus more on the, "What if this doesn't work out the way I think it's going to?" as opposed to the, "I can do it, and this is how I'm gonna do it." So I think that's definitely where I can improve the most.
That's the way it's the first way is you are aware of it, you know, and that's a very, very good point. Like I always take the example, like to me, soccer is my second sport. I love soccer. So if you are going to go for the last penalty kick, going to give you the World Cup. If you think like this going into your penalty shot, the chance for you to miss it or the chance for you to have the pressure on your shoulder are way bigger than if you think about how am I gonna do it to how am I going to do to score, And I think that's a kind of process where a lot of swimmer should be sometimes projecting a little bit too much, and that add a little bit of pressure. And I think the time where we are living now, the COVID situation, is forcing us to be in a day-to-day mode a little bit more, day to day. How was COVID for you in since last year? Because so NCAA didn't happen last year. NCAA championship, you stopped at the Big Ten. I think was the big one or Big Ten,
It was Big Ten, yeah.
Big Ten, yes. And then it was cancelled. So how was COVID for you in Michigan back then? Was it like terrible for everyone? And when did you get back normally in the water?
Yeah, so when everything shut down and we found out that NCs were canceled, I came home that night actually. So it was March 12th. And then I swam with my club team for one day. Of course, it was Friday the 13th. I'm sure that. Um, and then after that Friday, I wasn't back in like a normal size pool till end of June when HPCO opened up in Toronto. And then I spent some time just driving back and forth from London to Toronto just because it's only a 2-hour drive. And then school was starting and I needed to come up with a more solidified plan. So I moved to Toronto for about a month. And then once everything kind of had settled down in Michigan and we kind of worked out the kinks of testing and how the year was going to go, I came back to school around, I guess, the end of September.
Are the rule pretty strict in university with this? Do you have a lot of tests? I mean, how the securities and the proceed about that are in Michigan University?
Yeah, so originally it started with like weekly tests, so we'd only go like every Tuesday morning we get tested, and then as we thought there'd be actually be a season, like we didn't know if we'd have a Big Ten or an NC2A this year. So we were really lucky that we did. It kind of gradually shifted to daily testing, so we got tested Monday through Saturday. But as far as like training and access to the pool goes, it was pretty much as normal, which was nice.
So, like pretty much as normal. So, transitioning to an NCAA meet without less people in the stand in the pool to compare with your first experience 2 years before, it didn't. It didn't forbid you to swim very very fast. You show up that you could swim fast, but do you think that it will give you more edge to feel more energy in the pool, more power, more like good vibes from the stand?
I don't really think so. Um, the teams themselves, like our teams were always there and they're always cheering and it was super loud. And especially growing up in Canada, the meets are not that loud. So I
Yeah,
mean, at least I have that knowledge going into it. So I'm kind of used to that because our Olympic trials are pretty quiet in general.
yes, it is.
So I guess I've just been used to that. So I wouldn't say there would really too much a difference.
That's perfect. That's perfect. So going into the Olympics, knowing that there won't be any foreigner in the stand, that's not an issue for you. You have business to do. You're a businesswoman, huh? You will do that. You will do that. That I have a mission. I'm on a mission. No problem. As long as I have the ultimate gun with me, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. So we are going slowly to the end, but I wanted to ask you more in details. Because you talk about gold medal, you talk about having some thought about the world record. Let's talk about that a little bit more. So I think that is something we could show up pretty soon. Racing with her, knowing that you don't have the same speed yet on the 50, but I think it's gonna come because I hear you lift weight, so it's gonna get scary, you know. Um, I think that getting to the mid, you're not gonna target the world record, but when you play around the first place, this time should come if you follow the plan that you are supposed to follow. I don't see how like it's gonna be a good race, and I'm pretty sure that Sarah Shostrom will be back. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, she definitely will. I'm definitely not counting her out because she's such a great competitor.
So who are the other competitor you have to watch for in that race getting to the Olympics so far? Because probably we'll have a couple of surprise could happen, but so far, who are your main
Definitely
competitor?
Emma McKeon of Australia. She was third at Worlds. And then the Americans. They're so close together in time right now, so it'll definitely be interesting to see who comes out on top at their trials. And you definitely can't count them out either.
Who do you see in the US?
Who?
Where? Yeah.
Um, Kelsey Dahlia, and then a bunch of the new young up and comer teenagers are. Um, definitely gonna give her run for her money, I think.
You think Penny in Canada is going to come back to her first love, the fly?
Penny or Rebecca, I think, probably will be the
Yeah.
next two to battle for that spot in the hunter fly. Yeah.
Good, good, good. It's good that we have so much competition because it raises everyone up, and I think that there is no hate to have there. I think it's competition is good for excellence, and it push every it push you to become the swimmer that you are today, and it's pushing the other to not let you move on too much. So you have a spot a spot to keep on. So if you think about your race on the fly long course that you want to be able to achieve or you want to be able to swim. I don't know if you ever did the race that you really want to do without mistake. If you have to do a race with less mistake as possible, how that race will look.
I think it would look really similar to the one I did at Worlds. I hit the turn and I did the underwater like I was planning, and then I just think my touch wasn't great. So I think that would be the one thing I would fix from that race, and other than that, I think it was pretty perfect.
Your touch getting into the wall at 50 or at the end?
At the end, at the 100.
Okay, okay, okay. So the same, but the same with the more maturity and more power and more race. And you changed so much in 2019. So for sure, it's going to be, to me, it's a for sure it's going to be better. Like I was listening to the social podcast where you were in, I think 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, yeah.
And for them, there is no doubt. You're the fastest underwater kick in the world. No doubt, no doubt, no doubt. But you are there. I'm pretty sure you are there. So we are going to the end. If you have, and that's a classic question that I have for in the show. If you have to give any advice to some people, youngest athletes that you were not such a long time ago, you know, so you had some dreams, having like being 14 or 13 years old. I'm sure you are still dreaming. Are you still dreaming? I was still dreaming. You still have
Yeah,
dreams about swimming?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. What is your biggest dream in swimming?
I think my biggest dream I got when I got named to the Olympic team, I think that was it.
That's it. So that's done now. But what is next? What is the next big dream?
I don't know. I just won NC2As and that was my next one. So I guess we'll see.
Step by step. 2 days before the race at the Olympics, you're gonna say maybe having a gold medal could be pretty good. Okay, let's do let's do this. The way you, yeah, I feel that I feel the love for swimming when I'm talking with you. You definitely love it. I think that what people underestimate a little bit with you is your ability to race. You're a very, very good racer. You love the race. You're not scared of it, and that shows. You are like a huge warrior in 5'7" body. You know, huge one. But look like this. But some people look huge and they are not half of the fighter you are. So that's I think why you are the swimmer that you are. You have this big art and the love of swimming. So my question was, if you have an advice to give and like words for a little swimmer who wants to achieve like you did, what would it be?
I guess going off what you just said is that size doesn't matter.
Size doesn't matter. I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you, Maggie. It was a pleasure to have you. I had a lot of fun. I'm going to wish you all the best for the rest of the season. I'll probably see you at trials in a couple of months if it doesn't change. If it changes, we'll see you later on. And I wish you all the best in your training, in your transition long course. Are you going to race? Do you have some other race plan beside trial before the Olympics?
No.
No. So it will be like simulation training race with your coach at home, like Claude is doing right now.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much. It was All the Talk and Maggie McNeil today in the show. Thank you, Maggie, for coming in the show. I'm very, very, very happy to be able to share that. So it was All the Talk, the last episode with Maggie McNeil, world champion, NCAA swimmer of the year. I have to say it again. First woman under 49. That's like a little bit like Usain Bolt running under 950 or 940 on the 100 meters. World record in 952. Yes, exactly. No, people don't realize it's really, really, really fast. There is a first to a lot of stuff, and you are the first woman under 49, and that count. So good job to you. Good luck for the rest of the season, and I hope we see each other pretty soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maggie. Bye bye. Take care.